Hi Faith family, it's Amanda. I hope this video finds you doing well. If you're like me, you've probably lost track of what day it is during these difficult times. Well, it's Wednesday, and that means we'd normally be meeting for the neighborhood cafe and kids cafe. I'm here to bring you a message to continue in our Lent study called Give It Up. I saw a meme the other day that said, "Well, God, I wasn't planning on giving up this much for Lent." And while we can joke about the current climate of our nation during the COVID-19 pandemic, I find it pretty interesting that this is happening during Lent, a time when we should be slowing down and preparing for Easter. So far at the Neighborhood Cafe, we've asked you to give up mirrors for a week in order to focus on internal significance and to give up social media for a week to focus on increased face-to-face interaction. Ironic that happened during a week of mandated social distancing. This week's challenge might seem easy in our current state. It's to give up talking. If we're not allowed to see each other anyways, this might be the easiest challenge you get from us. A study at the University of Arizona revealed that we speak 16,000 words per day on average. That's 112,000 words every week. But words only convey 7% of how we feel. Body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice convey the other 93%. And part of being a good communicator is listening too. Research suggests that we hear 20 to 30,000 words per day, but we only remember 17 to 25% of what we hear. So how do you use your words? Well, one of the sins that I wrote on my paper that we burned during Ash Wednesday was about gossiping. It's been on my mind and I'm trying to be better about it. The week after our Ash Wednesday service, I started to type a text to a friend and then realized that it wasn't necessary and it was kind of gossipy, so I deleted it and never sent it. I saw something once that was a set of rules for speaking. It uses the acronym THINK. THINK. Before speaking, you should ask yourself, is what I'm about to say T, true, H, helpful, I, inspiring, N, necessary, and K, kind? Or, in the famous words of Thumper the Rabbit,
if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
In my case, the text I was about to send wasn't any of those things. Sometimes talk isn't true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, or kind. In those cases, it's probably better to just keep our mouths shut. Now, I'm not asking you to give up talking altogether this week, just to be more intentional about your words. I'm a full-time working mom, so during this forced slowdown, I'm spending a lot more time with my kids. I've already been challenged about how I use my words to speak to my family. I've quickly realized that my mode of delivery is important when communicating with an almost 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and my tone really sets the tone for the day. Speech filled with love, compassion, and an understanding that this time is hard for all of us works much better than yelling. I've also already been more intentional about time spent with my kids. In fact, this morning we started a Right Now Media kids study called What is a Christian? We already had some great conversation about what it means to be a follower of Jesus. I'd encourage you, if you have kids, or even if you don't, to take some intentional time to talk with others about your Christian walk. I mean, what better do we have to do for the next couple of weeks? While we might be socially distanced by location, I hope that we can stay connected as a body of believers. It might look like doing a study with your family on Right Now Media. And if you don't have access to that resource, you can contact us at the church office or message me and we'll make sure you get it. We're also looking into ways to conduct online Bible studies, children and youth ministry activities, and more. Just because we can't gather at our physical church location for a few weeks doesn't mean that we don't want to continue to connect and grow with you. The church staff, the executive leadership team, the worship team, The daycare staff and the prayer team are continuing to meet in small groups to keep our ministry going and to connect with you. So what happens when we start being more intentional about communication? Remember earlier when I said that part of communication is also listening? In 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 9 through 18, we see Elijah, a man who lived his life for God. He's in a state of exhaustion and frustration. I think some of us are probably in a similar state right now, trying to figure out how to homeschool our kids, when to rush to the grocery to avoid the mad dash, or how to not go crazy sitting home alone for the foreseeable future. But Elijah had also made the wrong person mad, so he was running for his life. He was all talk, telling God over and over about his problems. God listened and protected Elijah for 40 days and 40 nights, providing food and water and encouragement. In this Bible story, after 40 days of struggle, Elijah doesn't find God in the hurricane or the earthquake or the fire, but in the silence that comes after those phenomenons. God showed Elijah that even in the middle of a terrible situation, he was present and listening. Maybe we can learn something here. Sometimes we are like Elijah. We constantly complain to God about the terrible state of our lives. We fixate on the storms in our lives and tell God how we feel instead of being quiet and listening for the whisper of God's instructions. Let's be quiet together for just a moment. Close your eyes and just be silent. Okay, that was only about 30 seconds of silence. Was it uncomfortable? Sometimes silence is uncomfortable, but research says that silence enhances creativity, provides good therapy, increases our focus, makes us more thoughtful, and increases our listening skills. This week, let this be our prayer from Psalm 141, verse 3. Set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep close watch over the door that is my lips. So if we make that our prayer, for God to be the guard over our mouths and keep close watch over what comes out of our lips, let's limit our talking for 1 week. The gain that I hope that you and I will both receive is listening deeply to God and people and the sounds of life. The author of our Give It Up study says that in her quiet experience, she found herself listening more and listening for God's voice. Elijah heard God in a whisper. God whispered directions to tell him how to get out of his messy situation. This week, I pray that God speaks to you in a whisper. I'm going to post a link to a song called I'm Listening in the comments on YouTube and Facebook after we share this video. I'd like you to take some time to just use the words of this song as a reflection and as your prayer for this week to tell God that you're listening in the silence. So, faith friends, until we meet again, whether it's on social media or YouTube or maybe through a phone call or a letter, I hope that we'll stay connected, but that we'll be more intentional about our talking and our words this week. So we miss you, and we hope that you'll stay connected to us during this time. Please reach out to the church office if there's anything that you need or any way that we can be praying for you. God bless.